Greetings once again, my fellow Star Trek fans. I'd like to welcome you guys to another video. And let's see, the subject, Star Trek. It's not going to be involving this beautiful lady. We're going to be going to Star Trek The Next Generation. And I've actually got the latest shipment for the FanHome build, the U.S.S. Enterprise, NCC 1701D. And I'm very, very happy to get the package. And where we left off, we had just started to put the frame on the bottom of the secondary hull. And one of the things that I noticed, I got a part missing in the deflector dish. So what I have to do is I contacted FanHome and I asked them about it, but I haven't heard from them back. So I'm wondering if I'm just going to have to go on eBay and look for the package that has that missing piece in the deflector dish. But what I want to do in this video is, without further ado, we're going to go to the desk and I'm going to show you guys what's in the latest shipment for FanHome build, the U.S.S. Enterprise, NCC 1701D. Okay, we got the latest edition, the latest shipment from FanHome. So let's open up the box. Just kind of so let's dive right into it, and as usual, I'm going to go through everything really quick, and then we're going to take an in-depth look at everything. So, starting off, you can see we've got pack number 094. Think about it, guys. We're already in issue 94. You guys remember, it doesn't seem that long ago, we started at issue 1. We've got 93. You'll see the outer part of the ship. We got more escape pods and another section of the ship. And ooh, look at this. We've got in issue number 91, we've got part of the secondary hull. This is going to go on the bottom. The last issue, we had done the phaser array. And what else we got? Lastly, we have issue number 92. We've got some windows, a couple of lights, and another section. So, love it. And lastly, we have the magazine of issue or shipment number 24. So let's put the box aside. And like we do usually, I'm going to go through the magazine, show you guys everything in it. You can see a beautiful picture of the model on the cover. Again, it's not Eagle Moss anymore, it's FanHome. So let's check out in this issue. You can see the ship, the parts, and it shows you some of the episodes that they're going to be talking about. Star Trek build, the Enterprise D. We go over to the stages, and this is the parts list. So in stage 91, you can see we've got that bottom part of the hull. Looks like we got another phaser array with a section of the primary hull. In stage 92, we got a couple of lights. We got the backings that are going to go on the section to hold the windows in place. Stage 93, another section of the hull. And stage 94, we have pretty much the same. We got more of the hull, the primary hull. And again, we're already up to stage 94. I think there's 125-ish issues, so we're pretty much down to going to the home stretch now. Going over to stage 91 assembly, you can see the part locator and the areas of the ship we're going to be working on. Again, the key, red is used for screws, arrows, and connection points. Yellow is for the new parts in each step. Gray shows the assembly so far, and blue shows the illuminated parts. Note, keep the battle section lower front panel 91H close at hand for use in the next stage of the assembly. So we go over, very familiar to you guys that have been following the build. We put the escape pods in, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put the backings on, and those are going to be held in place with the AM screws. You can see the the other section of the windows that are going to go in. And you may notice that there is no light for the windows, but what they actually have is they have lights that are on the frame that go in that will illuminate the windows. And we're putting the phaser array on, and we're going to use the DP screws to keep that in place. And is that pretty much it for stage 91? Yep. We go over to stage 92, and we're putting in the windows, and that's the plastic part. We're going to follow the pattern. We're going to put the backings on. And incidentally, these little rectangles, raised areas, that's where all of the LEDs are going to fit into place. You can see we're going to run the wires. We're going to connect them to the circuit board. And then we're going to put the lights in. Let's see. We're going to run them through the frame, and we're going to actually put them into the outer part of the saucer section. Then we're going to attach to that the other half of the panel. You can see the lights are going to have going in. We're going to put that into place, and that's going to be held in place with the FM screws. And one of my favorite parts of the build is we check the lighting. So you can see how it's going to be making progress on closing in the primary hull or saucer section. Then we go over, and you can see we're going to put the lights in, a lighting panel for the bottom of the secondary hull. Again, the phaser array, that square is where the stand is going to hold it in place. And let's see, it looks like we're going to put an escape pod there. Complete stage 92 by fitting a single escape pod into the section. So we move on to stage 93, and we're going to do a little bit more with that panel. You can see where we had put the windows in. We're going to add the lights, and again, those little raised sections are where the lights are going to go. That's going to be held in place with BP screws. And let's see if we attach it. Nope, not yet. So we go back to the escape pods, and we're going to do another section on the primary hull, the bottom part. And we're going to put the backing in place and the outer rim of the saucer, and that's going to be held in place with IM screws. And the AM screws will hold the backing in place to keep all the escape pods in position. Then we're going to clip that into place onto the frame of the primary hull, and that's going to be held in place with FM screws. And you can notice the screw goes in the area for the escape pod, and the little escape pod screw cover goes on top. And you can see the section we're going to be working on, and the bottom, that beautiful part near the deflector dish. So we're going to go down, and we're going to put in more escape pods in another section identical to the last section. We're going to put the backing to hold them in place, and we're going to put IM screws to keep the outer band of the saucer in place. And you can see what we're going to do with that. We're going to put an AM screw to hold the frame together, and that looks like a JM screw. We haven't seen many of those so far. Add the JM screw in place in one you have just removed. This will allow for a better fit when you install deck panel. Okay, so what we got to do is we got to remove the AM screw and install the JM screw. And then we're going to put them in place. We're going to put the panel in, and we're going to clip the outer rim. It's got to go underneath so it brings the sections or the halves together. And we're going to put FM screws, and again, we're going to put the screw cover on top of the screw. And looks like we're going to work on another light. Take the red navigational light, and that's 94F, and place it over the formation light LED located on the port side of the saucer. You guys remember we did the starboard side last time, and I believe it was green. Then slot the lens into the recess of the edge of the saucer as shown, feeding any excess cable from the formation LED back beneath the skeleton. The lens will be fully secured at a later stage. So now we move on to that part again for the bottom. And you can see we're going to put the panel on. Retrieve your battle section lower front panel and carefully slot the lower right front windows into position. These will be secured later, and stage 94 is now complete. So now we're going to move on. And that's the build. That's everything. So it's pretty straightforward. Again, we've been doing a lot with the saucer section, and slowly but surely we're going to close it in. So moving on to one of my favorite parts, the episode info. And I love this episode, The Outcast. This plea for sexual tolerance was well initiated by some campaigners as tokenistic. This is episode The Outcast, episode 5.17, premiered March 16th of 1992, written by Jerry Taylor. Riker falls for a member of an androgynous race, all of whom are forbidden for claiming male or female genders. You guys remember, they were forbidden to identify as male or female. They kind of basically all had to be neutral. She identified more as a female, and Riker actually fell in love with her, and it was really sad because her culture forbade her from taking the female identity to becoming intimate with Commander Riker. Looking at the bottom, Megan Cole was Nor, has a more sympathetic role as a Romulan Senator Kretak in 2 episodes of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Moving over, you can see I love the little etched sketches by Rick Sternbach. This was his concept art for Riker's 24th century Starfleet binoculars. You can see the sensor strip lights. They light up LED red. And the bottom part, the nose cushion, is pretty cool. On this world, everyone wants to be normal. Nor. Because she was asking, what is normal? Okay, we're going to move on to another. I'm trying to see the picture and place it in my mind. Another episode. This one was titled Cause and Effect. This is episode 5.18 and premiered March 23rd of 1992. When the Enterprise is caught in a temporal loop, the crew experiences the same fatal day over and over again. You remember the ship had come out of the anomaly and ended up actually colliding with the Enterprise, and the Enterprise had blown up. And you guys may or may not know, but we had what's his name? Kelsey Grammer, excuse me. Cheers and later Frasier star Kelsey Grammer as Captain Bateson in a costume made for Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. I love those old uniforms. And we have more of Rick Sternbach's sketching. Is that what this is? Scenic arts supervisor and technical consultant Mike Okuda sketched this concept for the Soyuz class U.S.S. Bozeman over drawings from the 1988 fan publication Ships of the Star Fleet. And this always reminded me kind of a Reliant type ship. You can see there's a little more elaborate pieces that they would have added to the Reliant. I suggest we use a tractor beam to alter the other ship's trajectory. And they kept making the same mistake. And then eventually they had used the airlocks. They opened up the hangar bay doors to force the ship to move. It was really a cool episode. Moving on to the next episode, The First Duty. This was episode 5.19 and premiered March 30th of 1992. Written by Ronald D. Moore and Naren Shankar. Wesley must choose between his friends and his uniform following a fatal accident at the Starfleet Academy. You guys remember the fighter or the shuttle? It was one of those things where they had the accident and there was an inquiry. Introducing a more complex Wesley Crusher along Boothby, Cedo, Joxa, and Almost. Star Trek Voyager's Tom Paris. Richard Fancy, Captain Sadek, can also be seen in Sky Spirit in Star Trek Voyager. We got another little illustration. This is Senior Illustrator and Technical Consultant Rick Sternbach's initial concept sketch for the Academy trainer craft. You don't have to lie. You just don't volunteer any new information. Nick Locarno to Wesley Crusher. And guys, these magazines, they have so much information. I would love to read you every sentence. I'm thinking of doing a video that's only dedicated to the magazine, the information behind the scenes. I think that would be a really fun video. The next episode is episode 5.20, which premiered April 20th of 1992. While preparing to marry a man she never met, Lwaxana Troi forms a bond with Worf's son, Alexander. Of course, that's Troy's mom. Let's see. Albie Selznick went on to play Delta Quadrant aliens in 2 Star Trek Voyager episodes and served as choreographer on the 3rd. Let's see. Mr. Hom, he's kind of the servant to Lwaxana Troi, played by Carol. Let's see, I want to pronounce his name correctly. Stroiken makes his final appearance in Cost of Living, having featured in all 4 preceding Lwaxana Troi episodes. He doesn't say anything. He's kind of like her helper. Let's see. Larry Hankin's uncredited turn as the Wind Dancer was shot during filming of Imaginary Friend and inserted in post-production. Hankin later played another holodeck character, Gaunt Gary, in 3 episodes of Star Trek Voyager. So that's pretty cool. Deanna, I love you, but you make everything sound like an epitaph. Lwaxana Troi. Let's see, we got another episode. This is titled The Perfect Mate, and this is episode 5.21, and it premiered on April 27th of 1992. A woman raised to be the perfect wife for a man not of her choosing makes waves aboard the Enterprise. Famke Janssen stars in the story that could have had 3 different endings all at the same time. We have some more illustrations. Let's see, let's start with this one. No detail on the series was overlooked, as a senior illustrator and technical consultant, Rick Sternbach's concept art for the antique Venetian thimble shows. And let's see, the visual effects supervisor, Dan Curry's concept art for Kamala's Cocoon. Curry achieved the on-screen effect by shooting a silver blanket in my backyard through a broken piece of shower glass. I love hearing behind the scenes on how they do the shootings. I'm just trying to be as dull as possible. Jean-Luc Picard to Kamala. Let's see. The next one, speaking of, is Imaginary Friend, and this is episode 5.22, premiered May 4th of 1992. An energy being brings a lonely child's imaginary friend to life. This straightforward story allows for character moments with Guinan, Alexander, and Alyssa Agawa. Jeff Allen, who played Suter, later portrayed the Vaadwaur in Star Trek Voyager and another human Starfleet officer in the game Star Trek Borg. Let's see. Shay Astor, Isabella, and Noli Thornton, Clara Suter, bond in between takes for Imaginary Friend. 2 years later, Thornton played Taya, a holographic Yardran child in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. You could only communicate by threatening a small child? Jean-Luc Picard to Isabella. This is one of my favorite episodes. This is titled I, Borg, and we see Hugh. This is episode 5.23, premiered May 11th of 1992. An injured drone becomes the basis for a plan to destroy the Borg. But as the drone starts to recover its human nature, Captain Picard is forced to question his attitude towards the surprised individual. You got a feel for Q. And what they had done was they had planted something in him to go back and was supposed to put all the Borg to sleep to render them neutral. A long-awaited return of the Borg set the species on a new path, much to the dismay of some observers. Robert Lindemann directs Jonathan Del Arco. Lederman helmed just 2 episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation. He served as editor on dozens more. It's not a person, damn it, it's a Borg, Jean-Luc Picard, when they were referring to Hugh as Hugh and they gave him a name. Concept art for a surveillance unit on the Enterprise brig, designed for iBorg by senior illustrator and technical consultant Rick Sternbach. Similar but different device was built to serve as Hugh's energy conduit in the cell. But that's one of my favorite. I love the Borg. The next episode is titled The Next Phase, and this is episode 5.24, premiered May 18th of 1992. Geordi LaForge and Ro Laren are declared dead by a transporter accident, renders them invisible to the rest of the crew, and that was really amazing. They're actually at the memorial service, and they're unable to communicate and let them know that they are still alive. Ro ends her memorable run of 5th season episodes while a wealth of other guest stars are just getting started. Chief Brosmer Shelby Leverington makes her only appearance in The Next Phase. Oh, you remember Riker with the trombone. Scenes in which Michelle Forbes and LeVar Burton moved around other performances without passing through them meant that the pair did not have to spend the entire shoot on a special effects stage. They think we're dead and they're having a party. Ro. They were actually celebrating their lives. And, oh, is that it? That's it already. The beautiful Enterprise on the back cover signals the end of this magazine, Shipment 24. Okay, let's take a look at these wonderful parts. I think what I want to do is we're going to put them in order. We have 92. All right, we got 91, 92, 93, and 94. Okay, so I'm going to put these aside for a moment, and we're going to start with 91. Very much looking forward to seeing the panel for the bottom of the ship. Let's get this stuff out. Okay, I want to start with the panel. So look at the beautiful paneling, or the Aztecing, on the bottom of the ship. And this is plastic. And like the last build that we did, we put the phaser array in on the bottom, and you can see where it's going to come through the bottom. Again, there's a piece that I'm missing for the deflector dish, and I might have to temporarily hold my secondary hull construction just to make sure I can get that piece and put it in. But I can still do the primary hull. But look at that, it's beautiful. You can see where the windows are going to go in. We got the escape pod areas, the phaser array, and this is where the stand is going to come through. We got a couple of packets of screws next. We have the AM screws, and we've got, looks like, DP screws, and we got a section of the primary hull. And this is, we're working on the bottom part now. All right, this is metal. Usually up until this point, all the pieces that are metal come in their own plastic tray. Now hopefully you can see the beautiful Aztecing. It'll actually go like this because this is the bottom. You can see where the phaser array is going to go. And that beautiful Aztecing. Let's see. Speaking of the phaser array, here it is. I love the detail in that. Let's see. We've got a couple of the panels that are going to hold the windows and the escape pods in. Speaking of the windows, we've got the little piece that goes into the slots of the windows. All right. Let's see. Finally, we have... This is going to hold the windows. You can always tell because they're silver and they're reflective. And lastly, we have the escape pods. And that was everything in issue 91. Moving on to issue 92. All right, let's get this open. All right. We've got a piece of the paneling. Again, you can see where the windows are going to be slotted in place. And hopefully you guys can see the Aztecing. And I know, guys, I just gush constantly over this model, but this is going to be amazing when it's finished. We got some AP screws. Next up, we've got the little clip with the 4 prongs, or the 4 pieces, the 4 areas for the prongs to go in, and we have a double bulb. Nextly, we have some of the room lights that are off, and we've got 2 of the panels that are going to keep the lights in place and they're going to reflect. And what I was telling you guys about the little rectangle areas, that's where the bulbs are actually going to go in. Next up, we have the windows. More room lights that are off and room lights that are on. So we got 2 trees of that, and let's see, we've got another cable with 2 of the bulbs, and we got the 4 pins. Let's see, we have windows that are going to go into the slots, and finally we have the screw cover. Is this the screw cover? Yeah, this is for the screw hole. And lastly, we got FM screws. And that's everything that's in issue number 92. Okay, moving on to issue number 93. Let's get this open. We got more of the paneling. Look at that. Let's get this out for you guys. Look at that. Again, this is metal. It was in a tray. Check out that beautiful Aztecing. Of course, this is where all the escape pods are going to go, and that's where the screw is going to go, and then the escape pod that's going to go on top of that. And we have the FM screws. And speaking of the escape pods, we have 2 trees with the escape pods. We got more screws. Looks like we have AM and IM. And this is what's going to hold the outer rim in place. We have the lighting back. Again, you can see where the lights are going to go. And this is going to hold all of the escape pods in place. Speaking of the escape pod, the screw cover, we get that right here. You can see the little pins where they're going to go into place and hold it. We got a packet of the BP screws, and let's check out the part of the outer rim of the saucer section. These don't light up. Of course, they didn't light up on screen, at least not that I can ever remember them being lit up. And it looks like we have a couple of cables. They're different lengths. We have 2 LEDs on each, and we've got the 4 pins. Same thing with this one, so we can light up the windows. And that's everything that was in issue number 93. And lastly, we've got issue number 94. Let's take a look at this one. Alright, let's start with the other panel. The other metal part of the paneling for the bottom of that beautiful primary hull. Look at that. Where the escape pods are going to go. You can see that beautiful Aztecing. Oh, we got more screws. These are the IM, and these of course are going to hold the outer rim in place. And let's see, we have some escape pods, 2 more trees, and we have the windows. And this is the backing to keep all the escape pods in place. And it looks like we have another screw cover. Another packet of screws, and these are the FM screws. Let's see, speaking of the outer rim, we got another section. We've got JM screws. We don't see those very often. We've got AM screws. And lastly, we have that little piece where the light is going to go in, the beacon. We're going to make sure not to lose that. And that was everything in issue number 94. And that, my friends, is everything in shipment number 24. We've got issues 91, 92, 93, and 94. We're already up to 94. So, my friends, the next video is going to be the build. And the reason I do this video is to show you everything that comes in the shipments. And I've been doing this all the way from way back to the beginning, from issue 1. And if you want, I've done a playlist on everything you can check out. So if you're curious on what shipments came with what and what issues came with what, you can always check. In the next video, we're going to go right to the build. Now, I'm not going to go over anything that comes in a shipment when we do the build. That's what this video is for. So the next time we do the next video, we're going to be doing some fun. We're going to be making more panels for the primary hull and putting in things for the secondary hull. So my friends, until that video comes out, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.